Let's start off this review with my favorite game. If you see this movie poster, who do you think the stars of the movie are? If you would have answered this guy, or maybe about a dozen others, you would have been right, as long as you didn't say Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan. Because Karate Kid, or as I call it, Karate Mid, is the latest example of a legacy sequel that just does not need to exist. The only reason this movie exists and is called Karate Kid and it's in that universe and you have these guys on the poster is to get your butt in the seat. In fact, Karate Kid Legends is probably the greatest title for a movie ever, because this is the type of movie you would be scrolling through your TV guide, stumble upon this movie and ask yourself, they made a Karate Kid Legends? How many of these movies have you made? And you throw this movie on and within like 10 minutes you go, oh, I understand why I've never heard of this movie. With that stuff being said, I'm going to get into it now and actually talk about what this movie's about, how this plot progresses. So some spoilers will be included. This is your warning. You don't want to hear anything about this film. Click off now. Trust me, you're not missing much. Yeah, what this movie's about, basically it stars our main character, Li Fong. He's moving to New York from Beijing after a family tragedy. We find out his brother has died. Upon arriving in New York, because he is from China, he is a fish out of water. He's getting accustomed to the culture here. He doesn't know anybody. He's friendless. He meets this girl at a pizza shop one night when he's going out to buy a pizza. Mia, he bonds with her. They start to spend a lot of time together because, again, he doesn't really know anybody here. This is where this movie gets incredibly difficult to describe because it goes about a dozen different directions. This movie is less than 90 minutes, and they try to fit about 10 big subplots in. So some of the subplots include training her dad how to box because he owes bookies money and apparently his fighting skills is going to get back at them. Trying to win over Mia, the typical coming of age story these movies include to some extent. Dealing with the fact that his mother doesn't want him to fight anymore because of what happened to her brother. Trying to get his grades up. There's like a tutor angle to this movie. Jackie Chan's character's in this movie for about 5 minutes, but he comes back into it to help train him for the fighting tournament. Ralph Macchio's in this movie for about 5 minutes. He comes into the movie to help him train for this fighting tournament. And then there is that overarching karate tournament that is in all of these films, and it includes a guy that Mia actually was dating, her ex. So our main character wants to beat this guy because he's kind of a douche, and he wants to win over Mia to some extent, kill two birds with one stone. The problem I have with it in this movie, unless I miss something, the guy he's going to end up fighting doesn't really even know this guy exists. Like, they meet up at one point, but he doesn't know he's going to be competing in this karate tournament. So what all of these movies are kind of structured around isn't in this movie because there's no rivalry we're building up towards. One of the characters doesn't even know the other guy's going to fight him. It's just something our main guy wants to do. There are plenty of scenes in the way characters act that feel so rushed. Like, the same scene plays out like 5 different ways. Characters have dramatic tonal shifts, the way they talk and act, because it feels like massive parts of this movie we either cut out or they did not care about the pacing because they wanted this to be under 90 minutes at any cost. For example, the first 30 minutes or so of this movie is just our main character getting to know Mia and her dad at this pizza joint before he ends up training this guy full-on montage style you've come to expect from Karate Kid so that her dad can fight in this fight to win back money to pay off these bookies. I guess in this universe, bookies wouldn't have bats or weapons or anything to combat this guy. You can just learn the art of karate and overcome anything. Not sure this is the best tactical approach to get back at people you owe money with, but regardless, we spend the first 30 or 45 minutes montage training this guy into a fight. It's all kind of irrelevant, not going to give away the outcome of all of that, but it is just a wild throwaway of so much of the runtime because it has no central purpose to our main character. Throughout that first 40 minutes or so, you are going to run into the bully that he will end up fighting at the end of the film, but it's not natural at all. They're just scenes that are out of place so that they can run into one another. So they set the bar incredibly high, but the very next scene we see this guy, again, we only see this guy about a handful of times before the finale. Then we go to a scene with our main character and they're at a fair, I believe, and they run into Mia with this guy, like almost out on a date. She's making him laugh. It looks like they're having a good time. It pisses off our main character, which is fine. It makes sense for these coming of age tales where people are trying to date, you know, that awkwardness. But in our very next scene, our main character confronts Mia and he's like, what are you doing? Like, why are you with this guy? In the middle of having a fight, she explains to the main character, like, nah, that was the last time. I told him off there. There won't be anything else. And within 15 seconds, they're kissing and our main characters have made up. Like, I just don't understand the pace of how this movie was structured. As poor as the writing is between the lead couple, that's probably actually my favorite part of this film. I think the actor playing Li Fong is actually really good, really charismatic. He's a likable guy. I don't know if he can help this script, but I think for what he was given, I think he is a fun presence on screen. I can see him going the Jackie Chan angle, where if you give this guy good scripts and you put him in karate movies, kung fu movies, these coming of age tales with better scripts, I think he can actually pull it off because, as I said, he's a very likable guy. When he's on screen, his demeanor, the way he jokes, I think it's all very natural. So I look forward to whatever the guy's going to do in the future, as well as his connection with the main girl, Mia. When they are in that romantic angle, I think it does really work as a coming of age movie, more so than a Karate Kid karate movie. I actually think there's a better version of this movie out there that's just a coming of age movie. It doesn't even have fighting in it, because this movie is very bogged down by fighting montages and training people to fight, and the choreography in the fights isn't even anything special. The best parts of this movie are clearly between Lee and Mia, and I just wish we would have gotten more of that and less of the overarching legacy stuff. Getting back to the opening of this film, we see Jackie Chan for about 5 minutes in the opening. We don't see him again until the final 20-25 minutes of this movie, at which point we are also reintroduced to Ralph Macchio again from Cobra Kai. He shows up to team up with Jackie Chan to train this kid for the big tournament. Except you could literally have put anybody in this scene to train him. You did not need Ralph Macchio. This guy is living good off legacy checks. I mean, I don't know how this guy's career played out after the original Karate Kid, but I imagine this guy was eating ramen noodles before Cobra Kai, but since then, this guy has been eating good. I don't know if it's just me, but seeing this guy in this film just felt kind of cringy, because it just feels like, can we see Ralph Macchio in anything else? This guy has to be the poster child for a guy who has milked a single role to death. He knows it. We know it. Let's call out the elephant in the room. So after our two poster stars finally show up to train Lee and help prepare him for this big fighting tournament, you know, it's fairly predictable. The choreography is nothing special. Just like most of this movie, it feels highly forgettable. So overall, guys, I don't want to completely dumpster this film, because I feel like you know the type of person you are if you're expecting a good Karate Kid movie in 2025. We got Cobra Kai. That was a pleasant surprise. Don't think we're going to get lucky like that again. It's definitely watchable if Karate Kid is your thing, but it's not a good movie by any means. This is a straight to DVD quality legacy sequel that you're probably not going to remember 15 minutes after you watch it. I really did have a good time with the chemistry and the lead performance of our main character, Lee, played by Wang. I think he's the star of this film. His connection with Mia, when we get it, it's good. We just don't get a lot of it. A completely rushed script that is all over the place. Some jokes that don't land. Legacy characters that didn't need to be here, just cashing checks. Overall, a fairly forgettable experience, but fans of the genre might still have a good time with this movie. For me personally, I say wait for streaming. Did you guys get around to seeing Karate Kid Legends? If you did, comment down below, let me know, or let me know what your favorite Karate Kid movie is. I'm praying you say number one. As always, if you haven't subscribed, join me down below. Like, subscribe, comment, all of that really helps the video. I will see you in the next review. Peace.